Alright, what is going on? Welcome back to another video. So, as you see, no boat, back on the banks. I really do enjoy this sort of fishing. Got a few comments, people saying they were glad to see this style of video back, and rightly so, because it is good fun. Usually get a few fish. The only negative is when you get unfit and fat, especially sitting in a boat all day. You certainly get out of touch of tramping around banks and swamps and hills and all sorts, but he who dares wins and all that. Video of the day: foreplay V2. You've seen me use this numerous times. I've also got a fire tiger colour, and I've got the smaller dirty roach pattern as well, which is a fancy way of saying like a rudd, golden rudd colour. When I first got these lures, I will admit I wasn't really fussed. You know, it's the type of thing you stuck it on for 10 minutes and don't really like that, take it off. And then I started to you know, when I maybe was having a bad day, flicking through the lure box, I'd have stuck that on, and then I started to notice I was getting a lot more takes than I was on certain other lures. And I just stuck with it, and to be honest, I've been catching loads and loads and loads on specifically that one. And that's the plan of attack then today. Going to give them a blast. Still reasonably warm, no frost as yet, so should still be plenty of fish taking lures. And yeah, stick around, stay tuned, let's get at it. Okay, usually a pike that scuttles out of in here whenever I walk down in here. Still quite a bit of weed actually. So I haven't been down here from the tail end of last season. Obviously the boat then came, and that took up most of my time. But there's really thick weed there. I can't remember it ever being as bad as that, especially at this time of the year. You know, we're nearly into December. So SGS2 is the rod I'm using, my old favourite. I think I'm going to be able to fish this swim too much. But yeah, SGS2 is 10 to 35 gram. And I just, to be honest, I use it for everything. I really love it. I've got it teamed up with an SG8 2500 size reel, and I think it's 25 or 30 pound braid, I can't even remember. Probably actually need to change it soon, but it's okay at the minute. So one of the main things about this particular lure, it's probably not the right time to say it when I bring in a bit of weed, but one of the main selling points for me personally is whenever you're retrieving it, whenever you pause, which I like to do quite a lot, it doesn't sink and it doesn't float up. It just sits dead still like that. And I find majority of the time the takes that I get all tend to be on the pause. And I really do believe that it's just on the pause. Whenever that lure just sits dead still, it's dead still, it's in the strike zone, and the pike then absolutely hammer it. Don't get me wrong, they will take it on the move and things like that, of course they will, but I've always just found the pause always to be the main catalyst for a take. And it's crazy the amount of people getting into lure fishing that don't pause or anything like that. It's just a straight retrieve, and usually at 100 miles an hour, and they wonder why they struggle to catch. So I have brought a range of different lures with me. Of course I have, always do, but mainly because it has been so long from I've been down to any of these sort of places, and I didn't want to bring lures down that maybe weren't suitable, and then you're left with no other real choice other than to fish with them. You can notice straight away, you know, I've come down to the edge of the weed and I'm not casting as far as I can each time. I'm covering the area in close first before starting to head out a bit further afield. Can't believe how thick that weed is. Never seen it as thick at this time of the year. So the lip that's on that fork blade brings it down, depending on your speed. Obviously will depend on how deep it goes, but it usually goes down about 2 feet or so. There we go, first fish. And that was on the pause, exactly like I said. Bringing it in, pause, bang. Not a big fish, but it's the first fish in the first 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And he's not really very well hooked. There we go, first fish. Salvage Gear 4-player V2. And that's the first one. Thank you for playing. Whip straight into the weed. Yeah, and exactly like I said, on the pause. That's the way they want it. As you can see with the bait, there's lots and lots of teeth marks all over it. It's caught me a lot of fish. It's nice fishing somewhere where there's no wind for a change. Just guess it's used to be out in the boat. Not very often you get a nice day where there's not a lot of wind. I know fishing isn't great when there's not much wind, but it just makes a change from getting the head blew off you all the time on the boat. Okay, so I've just come into another spot, but I can see a lot more clearly now where the weed is, and there's loads of it sticking up everywhere, so it's obviously going to be a lot more difficult to fish. So what I'm going to have to do is literally aim for spots that's maybe weed free, keep the rod tip up and try and keep the lure just under the surface the best I can. A bit of sharp shooting, if you want to call it that. Trying to pick fish up from between the weeds. That's crazy. I like this getting hammered there a bit as soon as it even hits the water. This late in the year and the weeds still like that, you can actually see the green scum that you normally get, you know, in the summertime from the algae blooms and whatever. It's all still about. Okay, whoop. It's a bit swampy that bit. Also looks fairly weedy. crazy. Absolutely crazy. Okay, right, so this isn't going to plan. The whole idea was to use the 4-play V2s today. So I have the Roach one, which you've seen me catching on, and I've got these two. So the problem is with the lake, it's just, there's so much weed in it, even in the deeper area where you just seen me literally go right up into my chest. Yeah, there's just completely caked with weed. So V2, as brilliant of lure as it is, it's going out the window, I think. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do something that's really offside, given the time of the day, the time of the year, everything. But you've seen me catch fish on these before. But I'm just looking at the bulrushes, I'm looking at the weeds, and it still has that sort of early summery type autumn feel to it, even though it's not. The temperature's still high, so I'm going to get the frog on and see if we can get a surface take on some of those weedy bays. You can see the teeth marks in this. You know, I've caught a lot of fish on this. But yeah, everything else I have is steep diving. You know, it's not made for this style of fishing this time of the year. It's a strange time to be alive. But we'll get the frog on, see if we can get a surface take. 4-play V2 was the plan, but you can't always be prepared for the condition the water's going to be in. I have a funny feeling that those pike are all just sort of sitting out on the shelf in slightly deeper water, and because the bulrushes are so high and it's basically a swamp around the edge of it, it's impossible for me to really get near it. And in the shallow bays where there's usually tons and tons and tons of fish at this time of the year, the weed's still choking the whole life out of the bays, so it's next to impossible to do anything. But in an hour we got one fish, so I'm happy with that. I hope you're enjoying these short videos as much as I am. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.